I want you to start making decisions as if you steward a generation. You said,
Tiff, I don't have no kids.
It don't matter. If you desire to have them, then most likely in this lifetime you will have kids and you will end up stewarding a generation. The challenge is we make decisions based off of where we can see. We're so immature, and when we make decisions, we only make it off of the vantage point that we can see because we're down at the bottom of the valley. We never ask God, can you just walk me up to the top of the mountain and just allow me to look down on my life so I can make better decisions? Imagine a 7-year-old girl and she gets an American doll for her birthday. And the rich uncle comes and says, if you give me that doll when you turn 21, I'll buy you a house. What you think the little girl gonna say? Sir, if you touch this doll, I don't care nothing about your house. Matter of fact, do you have one of those doll strollers? Rich uncle, that's about all I want from you. I want the doll stroller. I want the doll crib. If you have doll bottles that I would like, that's what you can go get for me, Unc. But you don't understand. If you give me something so small in return, I want to get, when you're 21, are you kidding me? Most people, I'm going to give you a house. She's like, I don't want that. Give me my doll back. Why would she make such a ridiculous decision? Because in her own immaturity, she can only make decisions from her vantage point. It takes a mature person to make decisions for the generations that you don't have yet. But here's the thing about God. Do you know, rarely did he ever make promises and covenants with people that promise didn't just go to them and went to every generation after them? Because we think in decades when he thinks in bloodlines. We think in days when he's thinking in generations. Because he knows the greatest gift I can give you is not just give you a promise, but protect, for my girls, protect every egg that you produce out of that womb. I promise you, I'll take care of them. My promise extends for generations. So if he can give us promises for generations, why can't we do better making decisions for generations? We get ourselves wrapped up and tied up in things that could reap curses on our bloodline. Why? Because I don't have no kids yet. It's hard for me to even consider them. Consider the generations that you know God is going to give you now. Can I give you one string of piece of evidence? Okay, because y'all think it's a game. I want y'all to understand that when I talk about this, it's the truth. Okay, I'm not going to go deep into this because I can, and we'll just stay here all night. I hope you would have to get a blanket. But God made Abraham a promise in Genesis chapter 12. Okay, he made him a promise. He said, I'll take care of you. I'm going to make sure you're blessed. I'm going to make sure you're a blessing. He says that if somebody blesses you, I'm going to bless them. Just for somebody doing right by you, I'm going to do right by them. Isn't that how people think about their kids? Because why? Because my bad, y'all must have forgot. He don't see no different. He said, I'll bless the ones that bless you. He says, and I'll curse the ones that curse you. If they do something to you, no worries. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to take care of it. Stop trying to take care of people that do you wrong. He already says, I'm going to take care of that. Because we live under the covenant of Abraham. You say, Tiff, but that was the Old Testament. But if you go to Galatians 3:29, he says that the same covenant that Abraham has, we have too in the New Testament. So we have that same promise that God made. So you say, well, Tiff, I want to know about that promise. That's in Genesis chapter 12, verses 2 and 3. Go read about what's in your trust. This is in the trust of Austin. This is in the trust of Kayla, Alicia. Find out what's in your trust. This is stuff that belongs to you, and you're walking around life not knowing it. So go find out. This is I get access to this. Genesis chapter 12, verses 2 and 3. And then you can add as an addendum to your legal contract in prayer, Galatians 3:29. We already have the established promise of Abraham. I just want to give you some of the perks of being in covenant with God and right relationship with God. King David was a king about 900 to 1,000 years later. It's a very long time. He's still under the covenant of Abraham. God's going to keep all the promises he made to Abraham. Okay. But what happens is David looks around and he says, you know what I'm saying? I got a house of cedar. Like, my house is dope. I live in a palace. And he says, but the ark, God's ark is just sitting here in this tent. And he had a problem with that. He said, we should build a house for God. Like, he should have his own dope house. Like, I got my own dope house. And do you know what God said in return? Okay. I just want y'all to know what he said in return for that. First of all, while I find it, let me say this. He tells David, yeah, I don't need you to build a house. I'm going to have your son do it. He says, he really appreciated his intention. This is how important intentions matter when you have a heart for God. 2 Samuel. Okay, let me get there, y'all. God says, don't worry about it, David. You got a lot on your plate. Okay. I need you to take out a few more countries. So you just stay the fighter, the King David fighter that you are. You're going to be busy writing Psalms and some Proverbs. You don't worry about it. I'm going to have Solomon, your son, do this. He says, but because you just wanted to build me a house, I want to read you this covenant that was made with David. Just because you wanted to build me a house. This is starting at verse 9. He says, I will make you a great name, that of the great men of the earth, just because of his intentions. This is the second thing he says he'll tell him to do. I will appoint you a place for my people, Israel, and will plant them so that they may live in a place of their own and not be disturbed again. The wicked will not afflict them again as formerly. He said, I'm going to get sure they have their own land, their own place. People that had bothered them before, I'm going to shut it down. Why did he do that again? Because David just thought about, he just wanted God to have a house of himself. He keeps going. And even from the day that I appointed judges over my people of Israel, because that's what they used to have, I will give you rest from all your enemies. Wait a minute. He ain't even built the house yet. That matter. His heart for God. That's all that matters. The Lord also declares to you that he will make a house, a royalty dynasty for you. I'm going to make everything that comes from your bloodline be royalty. Are you kidding me? I'm like, Lord, I could build your house. I'm trying to see if I throw that out there, what I'm going to get. When your days are fulfilled and you lie down in death with your fathers, the ancestors, I will raise up your descendant after you, who shall be born to you, and I will establish his kingdom. I'll make sure that your seed runs a kingdom, because he said he would build a house for God that God told him he didn't even have to build. Verse 13, he is the one who shall build a house for my name. This is when he tells him this is the person that'll build the house in my presence, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. He's still going, y'all. When he commits iniquity and wrongdoing, I will discipline him with the rod of men and with the strokes of the sons of man. But my loving kindness and mercy will not depart from him, as I took it from Saul. Because when he got mad with Saul, he took away his loving kindness. He said, I'll never do that to your children. I don't care what they do. Anything come from your loins, I don't care what they do. I'll never remove all of my mercies from them. I'll chastise them myself and make sure they get back in line. Whom I remove from before you. The last one. He says, your house, your royalty dynasty, and your kingdom will endure forever before me. Your throne will be established forever. Why did he do that? Just because of his heart towards God. He got a 10-package covenant for his entire bloodline, because God makes decisions in generations. He thinks in bloodlines where we think in days. You say, Tiff, I'm going to read that later. 2 Samuel chapter 7. You might as well just go and start at the first verse and see where it all begins. And you can go to verse 16. Can I show you just real quick in like 5 minutes, how he's a covenant keeping God? This promise is made to David. And then at the very end, verse 29, I just want to read this. He says, therefore now, this is David after he's been blown away with all the promises God said he's going to do just from his intentions. He says, therefore now may it please you to bless this house, this royal dynasty of your servant, so that it may continue forever before you. O Lord, God, have spoken it. And with your blessing, may the house of your servant be blessed forever. And with your blessing, he said, you already said you're going to do it. I'm just reiterating what you said. May the house of your servant be blessed forever. I just want to recap what you just said, that you're telling me my house will be blessed forever? Because God makes decisions in generations. If we start making decisions right now, like we work for the God that'll make covenants with us for generations, we might make different decisions. And here's my evidence. 56 years later, Solomon, his son, was cutting up real good, then got himself mixed in with some of these ladies that served other gods, fake gods. And here he goes serving them himself. He's supposed to be the richest, wisest man that ever lived. And he acting a fool. Now, I would imagine the Lord was upset about that. But here's what God says. Now, the Lord was angry with Solomon. But remember, in his promise, he said, no matter how mad I get at him, I'm going to wipe him off the earth. But I made a promise that no matter how mad I get. So it says, now the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart had turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not follow other gods. He knew better, but he did not observe and keep what the Lord had commanded. So the Lord said to Solomon, he was mad at him, y'all. He was mad. He said, because you have done this and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will certainly tear this kingdom away from you and give it to your servant. However, I will not do it in your lifetime for the sake of your father, David. For the sake of your father. This is 56 years from when God made this covenant with David. This is in 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 9 through 12. For the sake of your father, David, I will not tear it away from the hand of your son. He says, this is what you deserve. I'm not going to give you what you deserve because I made a promise to David. 89 years later, David's grandson does the same thing. 1 Kings 15, verses 3 through 4. He's cutting up, royally cutting up. And God says, but for David's sake, the Lord his God gave him a lamp in Jerusalem, setting up his son after him and establishing Jerusalem. This is 89 years later. He said, I was about to, but for David, you know what I'm saying? My boy David, my servant David, y'all, he didn't even build the house. It was just an idea. 156 years later, Jehoram, 2 Kings chapter 8, verses 18 through 19. Jehoram cutting up. 4 generations removed from David. Jehoram is doing evil in the sight of the Lord. What does God say? However, said, I want to destroy you. That's what he told him. However, the Lord was not willing to destroy Judah for the sake of David, his servant. That's 156 years later. 284 years later. 2 Kings chapter 19, verses 32 through 34. The Assyrian Empire, the most powerful military force in the ancient world, has surrounded Jerusalem. Listen to this, y'all, with 185,000 soldiers. They have already destroyed nation after nation after nation. And King Hezekiah, who wasn't even doing right, needed God's protection. God says, for I will protect and defend this city to save it for my own sake and for the sake of my servant David. Always considering the covenant he made with him. 300 years later, Hezekiah is on his deathbed. He asked God, can you have more time? Hezekiah deserved death. What did God say? He says, I'll give you 15 more years. Verse 6, it says, and I will protect this city for my own sake and for the sake of my servant David. 300 years from when he made the promise. Because God makes promises in bloodlines. When we make our decisions for what we see today. And the more we can represent God and make decisions for the generations that will come after us, even if we don't see it yet, because he's going to keep all of his promises. God told him that his kingdom will reign forever. Guess what? When Jesus was born, he was a descendant of King David. If you go to Matthew and you read the first few verses, it tells you, because a lot of times we see begat, it tells you every person that was born after King David, and it goes and it goes and goes until you get to Joseph and you see that Jesus was born. Because he promised him, he says, there will be a king on the throne forever from your bloodline. And he kept that promise. And Jesus was from King David's bloodline. So I implore you to think about who you are, who you want to identify as, because the God you serve, based off of your devotion to him, he makes promises to you that are going to impact every generation after you. And I know that we're like 7-year-old girls with an American doll baby, and it's hard for us to make decisions that are going to help us later in life. But I beg you to consider the mountaintop and look down and make decisions for generations and not for how you feel right now. What your obedience unlocks impacts generations. I don't care what kids you don't have yet. King David didn't know Jehoram and Hezekiah. He didn't know these people, and his devotion to God protected them when they needed it most. And yours can do the same.